and gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
Well, good Thursday morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching on YouTube and Twitch. This is the Early Bird Special. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
Well, I watched College World Series.
I'm glad you did
for the first time. And we'll recap that. We'll recap the game one of the Stanley Cup Finals. News out of the NBA, the NFL, some a funny clip from Draymond Green and Lisa Leslie we'll get into with the WNBA. Plus, we'll have comedian Cactus Tate joining us at 7:30 ahead of her show at Timber next Friday and Saturday. Then a local teacher and comedian, Andrew Boydston, will join us at 8. You have to hear his story. It is hilarious. And in the second hour, that last half hour, we'll bring in Snacks, a basketball referee, a DJ over at our sister station, Hits 93.1.
Future NBA referee.
Exactly. And we'll preview the NBA Finals. We'll talk to him about the new All-Star game that Adam Silver brought up yesterday, as well as the firing of Tom Thibodeau, who he thinks is gonna come in and replace him, and much more. Tune in at 12:30 a.m. 101.1 FM, and we're also streaming on the Early Bird Special YouTube channel, as well as Twitch and all the other video streams.
Do you think Snacks is going to keep Snacks as a name?
That would be awesome.
When he's a referee.
That would be
We just see
awesome.
Snacks Harris. That'd be fantastic. I'd love for him to do that. I doubt it very much so. I'm sure he'll go with his legal name, but if he went by Snacks as an NBA
Snacks?
referee, we had Snacks Harrison. Football already did it. Why can't a referee do it? That's all I'm saying.
That would be awesome.
That's all I'm saying. But we got to talk about the Stanley, because yesterday's game one went where 2024 dared not. And that's overtime. The Oilers had to come back from a 3-1 deficit and did so handedly behind some key plays from Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and just an incredible showing from the bounce back king, in my opinion, Stuart Skinner, the goalie, who after giving up 3 goals in the first 8 shots he saw, honestly, everybody thinking, oh Lord, here we go. He's going to get pulled again. We're going to have to go down the spiral one more time. But no. Stuart stood strong, didn't let up anything else, had 29 saves on the day, not even close to Bobrovsky's 40 plus, but the winning goalie always gets the best seat. And at this point right now, Oilers sit at a 3-1 advantage over the Panthers, and I thought was one of the best starts to a series I've seen in quite some time. Leon Draisaitl scoring in the first 66 seconds of the game to give the Oilers a 1-0 lead early, and scoring the game-winning goal in overtime with less than a minute left in the first overtime quarter during a power play that was confusing as heck to me. I don't know if you watched it, Sparky.
I did.
I don't know if he was trying. For those of you who didn't watch the game, the Panthers, oh Lord, I wrote his name down. Thomas, I can never remember how to actually pronounce his last name. One of the wings of the Panthers dished the puck and it went out of play, causing a delay of game penalty, throwing him in the penalty box and setting up a power play for the Oilers with the last minute and a half, 2 minutes left of the game, easily setting up their game-winning goal. Don't know what the thought process was behind that. Don't know why he decided to ditch the puck at the end of the game, but it definitely cost his team the win. And honestly, right now, if you're the Panthers, you're disappointed because you came out swinging in the beginning of that overtime. And then the Oilers absolutely ran it in the third period, 14 shots to 2 in order to tie that game up off of a McDavid assist to one of the Swedes. And to be honest with you, I thought the Panthers were going to lock this out early in overtime. I really did. Skinner made a lot of really good saves, and I could not believe that it just turned around on a dime like that in the final 2 minutes of this overtime series.
Well, those last 5 minutes, they got a ton of shots at them.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, man, this is going to go into double overtime, or we're going to see something. And
I genuinely thought we were going to be watching hockey until about 11 o'clock.
so
last
did
night.
I was falling in and out those last 5 minutes. And then I saw the power play and I was like, all right, wake up. And sure enough, with 30 something seconds left, he got it in. So as soon as that power play, I knew, okay.
Yeah, now we're sitting pretty. Now we were waiting for it. And honestly, they were trying to set up a play multiple times towards the end of this game. They had where McDavid and Perry would try to distract and obviously set up Leon on the opposite side, which worked perfectly. I feel bad for Bobrovsky because he's now the third goalie in the last, I think, decade that's had to have a game of 40 plus saves in the final. Fortunately, he ends up being the loser this time.
Oh, he's a badass.
Oh, they're both badasses.
Yes.
This is going to be a really entertaining series. And you know what's funny? We're saying they're badasses, and it was a 4-3 game.
Yeah. Well, that last one that should have almost, I thought that was going to score right there, but the one he punched out, I was like, damn, dude, this fool's got skills, dude.
Dude, to be a hockey goalie, you have to be your hand-eye coordination has to be in a different area. I cannot imagine having these pucks fly at you at the speeds they do, slap shots of 90 plus miles an hour at your face. Like, they were laughing about it. There were multiple instances where I think Biz and Gretzky during the intermission show were talking about how you don't do that in practice. You never take a shot at a goalie's face. But if it's during the game, they're like, whatever. It's fair game. It's just like, imagine a 94 mile an hour black hockey puck coming right at your face at just no speed. I cannot imagine. And these guys just held in there amazingly. I think the defenses also played great on both ends. There was a long string of play where this game just stayed even. It looked like it was going to be even for the rest of the game. Marchand and Sam were fantastic, obviously scoring the 3 goals for the Panthers. But in my personal opinion, you need more from the Rat Pack. You need Tkachuk actually set up. You need Tkachuk to step up, take more shots. And to be honest with you, you need to stay on that relentless offensive attack game that you are known for and stay on the Oilers' neck. Honestly, if you had kept being relentless in the second and third periods, this may not have gone to overtime.
Which was funny because, the Stanley Cup went 7 games last year. And none of them went into overtime. So, of course, game 1 of this one is going to go into overtime. But, yeah, when I got home, I watched the most of the World Series game and then switched over to the Stanley Cup. And it was 3-2 when I turned it on. So I got to see the majority of it. But, man, when it went to overtime, I believe the Oilers got 7 or 8 shots straight, like within the first 5 minutes. I was like, okay, this is gonna be quick. 10, 20 minutes later, I'm like,
then it flips to the other team. Now the Oilers are the ones taking the shots. And I think Bobrovsky had to face 10 shots in the overtime period before they finally got the goal. And 45 shots on goal is no matter who's playing. But when we came into period 1, there was a moment where the Oilers had, I think, 16 shots on goal and only 1 goal. And like we said earlier, the Panthers had 3 goals in the first 8 shots they took. So you thought this was going to be just rounded out. I was sitting in here with Ralph Bailey and our guy Randy from Hot 94.1 as we were watching the game. Hot 94.1. To be honest with you, we all kind of had the same thought process, which is, oh Lord, here come the Panthers again.
Yep.
This is it. They're going to come and dominate this game. If they got 3 goals in the first 8 shots, what else is Skinner going to let go? And just something clicked. Just something for the Oilers clicked, and they never looked back. They never allowed a goal after the second period. And to be honest with you, I personally, like I said earlier, I have every belief in the world that it has to do with, I think the Panthers let up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I think that they didn't really lean on that just relentlessness that they're known for. And I would expect in game 2 on Friday that Brad Marchand, Sam and the rest of the Rat Pack, including Kachuk and everybody else, are going to be firing on all cylinders, trying to take one away from the Oilers on their home ice, because you're going to desperately need that if you want to finish this series early.
It's going to be a long series, and game 2 is Friday. But I caught this clip from Myron Metcalf this morning talking about, goalies, and I'll let him explain, and then I want to hear what you say.
NHL goalie, and I debate people about this all the time, is the most difficult position to play in sports. And I think you saw that tonight. Sergei Bobrovsky, the Florida Panthers goalie, there were 4 goals scored on him, right? He had 42 saves.
Right.
Of those 46 attempts, so 46 shots. He had a 91% save percentage. In what other sport can you be 91% efficient, effective, and still be viewed as the guy who didn't do your job to the degree that you were supposed to? Only NHL goalie. And I think tonight just exemplified that for me. There is no more difficult position to play in sports than NHL goalie.
See, this argument
That's
is
a good
all
argument.
over sports, and it's a very valid argument, because 90, I mean, that's what I meant earlier when I said I felt for him, because he's right. 90% save rating, and you lost. That sucks, because they don't ask how, they ask how many. And to be honest with you, they're just going to, all they're going to remember is Bobrovsky lost game 1 to Skinner. And that's all they're going to be thinking about. And I agree with him to a point. I think that it's definitely one of the most difficult positions to play in sports, along with, I would say, probably quarterback and cornerback in the NFL, amongst others. I still say hitting a baseball at 95 plus miles an hour is the hardest thing to do in sports, bar none. So, I mean, there are so many different parameters that you would have to go down, and I'm not going to even try to do that right now.
I mean, we can go down almost every sport.
Exactly.
I mean, look at tennis. I mean,
yeah, returning a serve that's 90 plus miles an hour. Yeah, that's difficult to do
they're all
too.
insane.
Or-
but yeah, goalie. Just watching it last night, I'm like, man.
Hockey goalies, sure, don't get me wrong, but what about soccer goalies?
Yeah.
Soccer goalies have a way bigger margin of defense they have to deal with. Not to mention their breakaways happen far more often.
With no padding.
Exactly. And honestly, I wouldn't say it's equally as difficult. Let's not get crazy. But it's definitely one of the hardest positions to play in sports as well. So, I mean, you'd have to go down the line of every single sport and really figure out the longevity of it, and how easily people can mess up and make it look easy. But I would say his argument's pretty valid. That's one of the hardest positions to play in sports, period. I don't know if it's the hardest, though. I still say the cornerback has to be one of the hardest positions to play.
Yeah. I mean,
that's quarterback, 6 foot white.
I mean,
boy,
almost any sport you could probably find a difficult position. But yeah, I would say the goalie one is at least up there. But we'll take a break. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup will be Friday. So hopefully, I know Bolt's not a big hockey guy.
No, not at all.
But I'd still I want to see if he knows or we can find out before then. But I wonder what the favorites are, as it is still in Edmonton. So I would expect the Oilers going up at least to be the favorite to take those at home. But
with how even that game was last night, though, Vegas may switch that up. You never know.
We will see. But we'll take a break. We'll run down the College World Series from yesterday. Plus, we have some breaking news out of the NFL. A receiver in Baltimore just got an extension. Plus, much more right here on the Early Bird Special. ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Welcome back. This is the early bird special. Before we start getting to our absolutely stacked list of guests today, plenty of laughs for you. I promise you that right now. We had a game one in the college women's softball World Series. I unfortunately did not get to watch us two folks on the hockey game and doing other things, but Sparky got to sit down and enjoy it. And I hear that it was a dominating performance from both pitchers. However, one unfortunately had a flub at the end of the game.
It was wild, I would say. Texas Tech's I'm going to screw her name up. I know it's not Kennedy.
Kennedy is
Kennedy.
It's like Canada, so I'm going Kennedy.
Well, she's a badass. Was the 2024 USA Softball Player of the Year, and she was absolutely dominant through the first 5 innings. And that's where it got a little wild. They were up 1-0, and Texas Tech decided to intentionally walk with two ladies on base, and they intentionally walked the cleanup hitter,
Naturally.
which wasn't as smart as they thought, as the cleanup batter was 0 for 10 in the last 2 games. And about the third pitch, okay, they're going to intentionally walk, which I will note they have never done. This pitcher has never done throughout the whole season. And Atwood, Reese Atwood from Texas, the cleanup hitter, took it upon herself to step over, and I'm going to take a swing at this.
As you are within your right to do.
And she clocked it and hit in 2 runs and took the lead 2-1, and that's how they stole game 1. And, you know, this is a 3-game series for the Softball World Series, and they can close it out tomorrow. I'm hoping that Texas should have pulled that one out, but
it's actually today. I'm sorry.
Is it?
Yeah, game 2 is tonight at 3, or I'm sorry, today at 3:45.
My days are all mixed up because
tomorrow
is Friday.
Game 3 is the one for that's if necessary is tomorrow.
So we had the game streaming, so I got to hear the first couple innings right here on ESPN Bakersfield. So when I got home, I had to follow up, and I got to see the wildness of what College World Series is. And I mean, I got to give props to these girls because this pitcher was on fire, and I thought it was over.
This is why I'm very excited that the MLB is funding a potential professional softball league for these women. We need one. Like I am disappointed that I didn't get to watch it, but I mean, Stanley takes precedent in my opinion. But it's a priority. I'm sorry, it's Stanley. But the World Series in both baseball and softball, I feel like needs more coverage on ESPN and many other sports organizational, news organizations, I should say, because it's always really entertaining to watch. And it's actually an old supervisor of mine at my previous job that really got me into this, because he's the one that really highlighted how entertaining a lot of these games can get. I've heard a lot about this controversial play. I have yet to actually see a video of how it happened. But if you're intentionally walking somebody, rule number 1, get your catcher off the stance. You stand way over there, and we can play catch for 4 pitches over there where they can't hit the ball. That's literally part of it. So
one of the announcers I was going to bring up, because he bounced off the topic we talked about the other day with home runs. So he's a younger dude, and the other announcer was an older guy, or an older lady, and she was saying, they need to get rid of running the bases during home runs. And then this happened, and then they got into a bit of a disagreement with when you're intentionally walking someone, if you should have to pitch them the 4 pitches.
Well, so that is an argument that baseball has had for a while. And actually, I think they've gotten away from it. I think the MLB does not do that anymore. If you're intentionally walking, you just take it.
And just walk them.
But I mean, again, I see the argument from both sides. The home run thing, that's a traditional thing. I've even conceded to that. You're never going to get rid of that. That's just part of baseball. And I kind of get it as well, because the home run trot is kind of the celebration part of it. You got to let the fans kind of have fun with it too, and all that stuff. And honestly, players have done a really cool job at like making it their own. Like they'll have some sort of cool step or dance they'll do at the end with teammates. But in terms of the intentional walking thing, it's just part of the game. I don't see a problem with saying, just take your base as well. But I think you should have to pitch them. I genuinely do, because you're still taking, off of the arm. Your pitcher should still have to pitch those four pitches. And to be honest with you, just as I said, the easiest way to go about this is to do what baseball used to do. Stand up, walk 15 feet over that way where the batter's going to have no way of hitting it.
Well, the catcher puts his hand out.
Exactly. Right. And play catch. Like, it's really not that big of a deal, guys. Like, I don't understand what this is. And honestly, because you didn't do that, that's what lost you the game. So you could be sour about that all you want, but it was your decision. Your pitcher could have easily thrown it further outside and made this non-hittable and walked the batter, but she messed up. She even conceded after the game she messed up, from what I've read. Yeah, so you got to kind of live with it.
She came out and said, it's totally my fault. I made that mistake. And which was funny is all season, she never had to intentionally pitch or walk anybody. But now while we're talking about sports and women in sports, we got to get into this clip real quick.
Oh, okay.
So Lisa Leslie, Draymond.
I don't know exactly how old this clip is. I ran across this morning and sent it to Sparky, not knowing we were going to actually talk about this on the show, but it's kind of interesting. I believe this was cut from one of LeBron James's episodes of The Barbershop, where he usually gets athletes together and has conversations about, it's fantastic. They have conversations about stuff within the organizations that they as athletes hope to change, or like want to change, or maybe aspirations they have, where he had Draymond Green and Lisa Leslie, the Sparks legend, on the show at the same time, where Lisa had this to say about what she believes should happen in terms of getting the WNBA women paid, and essentially paid more.
The WNBA is rocking. What could we have more? I mean, I just think, from a salary standpoint, it'd be great for the women to be able to make more money. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. I think I saw something that said like one player that makes maybe $12 million on the NBA team could cover the whole WNBA salary. So that's kind of like crazy. And again, we're what, 26 years young. So it's not like we're comparing ourselves to the NBA, but I do feel like the pay gap would be something that, we could just take a donation around the NBA, maybe one night y'all don't go to the casinos.
I have something on this, though, because it pisses me off. It pisses me off because I don't think there's anyone in America that supports the WNBA more than NBA players.
100%.
The NBA players support the WNBA like
the most,
more than we probably support the.
Honestly, the argument continues and it goes further into this, but this is what I wanted to just bounce off of you and make, see how you felt about this. But does it kind of seem like she's asking for too much? I mean, I don't think she's asking for a whole ton. I really don't.
Well, she makes the joke about, going to the casino and you guys blow that in a night.
Exactly. And she's not wrong. I mean, you guys make enough money to really pay the entire NBA. Or WNBA, I apologize. So donating some money to the WNBA so these women get paid, I get where she's coming from. But I think Draymond brings up a good point, and why he's angry. It's like, dude, we support you guys in every single way. I don't understand why you're asking for more. So, like, what do you think? Do you think that she's asking for too much from the NBA at this point?
I think she's reaching for straws.
Yeah.
I think the NBA has done a ton, and I know they're continuing to do that, but they need to outsource somehow, some way, instead of, like we've brought up several times, instead of expansion teams, maybe they look into expanding the rosters. And, the bigger the rosters, the bigger the families that are watching. And really, it's a tough situation because the WNBA hasn't been around nearly as long as obviously the NBA. But I think it starts at college.
Yeah.
I think, the ESPNs, the TNTs, that, even the local ABCs and CBSs, that we're not getting a lot of the women's. I mean, we got into it. I have some powerful women that I work with over at MoneyWise, and we do a March Madness bracket. And a lot of the girls, I believe one of our girls won again back to back. And she said, why aren't we playing the women's? And I said, well, that's a good question. You know, it's pumped out as the men's March Madness. And she said, well, I know as much as you guys do about the men's and the women's. We're all just kind of blindfolding, picking teams and picking our Cinderella stories or our upsets. And I said, well, that's a good question. But I think it's more of the League One putting into sponsorships or advertising. But I think reaching out for NBA players' money, that's probably crossing the line.
And notice that she said donate.
So you can write it off?
Yeah, exactly. Like, notice how she said, well, if you donate the money, it's like, well, okay, now
the
we're
WNBA is a
dancing
nonprofit?
on, because my thought process is this. Say LeBron does decide to do that. Say LeBron just says, you know what, I made enough money. I can fund your guys' entire league, all your guys' pay. It's not that big of a deal. Here's a check for all of it. Just write down however much you need. Is LeBron going to get paid back for that? Are the WNBA owners going to, at the end of the year, say, oh, that's right, we have to reimburse LeBron? I totally forgot. So take all the money that we just got from all those games where Caitlin came to play, or if you're the Indiana Fever, let's take a small portion of what Caitlin made us this year and let's pay LeBron back. No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to pay him back because you want him to donate the money. That's where I feel like she's asking too much. And that's where I feel like Draymond's anger kind of makes sense. It's like, dude, there, and he's right. There is nobody on the planet that supports the WNBA more than the NBA players. They talk about it and try to push it more than they try to push their own product. And to sit there and ask them to essentially donate their money for no turnaround at all, and most likely not going to get reimbursed for it. So thanks though. Like, and that doesn't help anybody. You really think your owner is going to take that $12 million that went to everybody's pay and turn around and make it pay you guys a second time? No, they're going to put it in their own pocket.
They're going to put it into that, or they're going to put it into renovations or advertising.
It's not going to go to you. It's
or they're
not
going to raise the ticket prices, or
what you need to do in the WNBA is like everybody in the media has been shouting since this began. Continue to build your brand. Build your product, make it into something that people want to watch every night. Then, like the NBA, figure it out from there, get a TV deal, and you'll be able to pay your star players and stuff like that in the millions like you want to.
I would say the same thing, because, I mean, when I watched the WNBA, it was in the beginning, which Lisa Leslie, I had a big, I loved Rebecca Lobo, growing up when I was younger, and I'm seeing the excitement, I guess, in the sport because of the Angel Reeses and the Caitlin Clarks, and it's just building.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you got it right on the point. But we'll take a break. We've got comedian Cactus Tate coming in. She's got 4 shows, 2 on next Friday and 2 on next Saturday over at Timber Brewing. And
I had to think about that myself.
And what do you know? It's Friday the 13th when our first show is, and we're going to get into some Annabelle talk right after this break. The Early Bird Special, ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM. Really? This is how we're starting this segment.
Hey, I had Doshi yesterday, but we had some video issues. So
This song is a nightmare to me at times. I love these movies, though. They're fantastic. The Conjuring films are fantastic, as we said yesterday. But Sparky is alluding to this entire story where Annabelle is out loose in Texas right now. And we have somebody on the line who actually lives in Texas and will be with us next week. She's a fantastic comedian, and she's talked about this on her own social medias. And I can't wait to get her thoughts on this as well. But Cactus Tate is with us. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. Doors locked, windows locked.
I was going to say, there's no creepy dolls hanging around, right?
No, I have a 5-year-old. I don't even let her bring dolls in.
See, that's the problem, though. You have a 5-year-old. Any day now, there could just be a random Raggedy Ann doll just sitting there on her doorstep, and you never know where it came from.
No, I walk her on a leash. I know all that's going on.
So have you been to Bakersfield yet?
I haven't. I'm super excited to go. I think it's the Well Comedy Club I'll be at.
Well, the Well Comedy Club. So we are big fans. Our buddy Dan Betts, who will be on the show next week. He opened up the Well Comedy Club a couple years ago. It was the first full-time comedy club here in town, and they are in the middle of moving to a new downtown location. So they're still putting on these comedy shows, but they've partnered up with a few places like Ava's over at the Fox Theater, as well as Timbler Brewing Company, which is an awesome venue. So you'll enjoy. Plus, if you drink beer, they make their own beer, and they got bomb ass wings there. And I mean, if you haven't got your tickets to Cactus Tate, she's doing 4 shows, 2 on Friday the 13th, of course. Well, I believe the first show is 5, the second is 9, and the same times on Saturday. We've got our tickets. My wife is actually the one that introduced me to your social media, and we share your videos all the time. You brought up the 5-year-old, so I have to go back to the toilet paper video, which we had a good family laugh at, because we've had that same issue where you're stuck on the toilet and you're yelling at a family member, "Hey, bring me some toilet paper." But I mean, how long have you been in comedy?
I've been doing it about 2.5 years. I originally grew up in Carlsbad, New Mexico, which is a small town, no chance for comedy. And after me and my husband got married and had our daughter, he had a job opportunity up in Houston. So we moved up here, and I immediately saw the opportunity and started hitting open mics. I also had a joke book that I carried around since I was 8 years old. Being a comedian was all I've ever wanted. So when I started doing the open mics, I started taking from that joke book too and making videos on the internet, and it took off pretty quickly from that.
Oh, if you've been starting since you were 8, what's the oldest joke that you have that you're still running with right now?
Oh, that I don't still run with any of them. But
dang it.
The first joke I ever wrote was domestic violence isn't a joke. There's no punchline. You just punch your wife. And I was 9.
Wow. That's a good one. Oh,
yeah,
Lord.
it's a little choppy, but for a 9-year-old, I was very proud of it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all about punchlines, right? And presentation. So obviously, if you could just dice it up a little bit, put some pepper on that, I think you could put that in your stand-up routine.
Still my 9-year-old jokes.
I'm just saying.
I probably could. I'd probably crack myself up more than anybody else, though.
Nah, that's probably true too.
Well, you brought up the open mics, and that's how you got started. So we usually have a comedian that comes in weekly on our Thursday shows, and a lot of them, comedy was a dark act here in Bakersfield until a couple years ago, and we have Anthony that comes in. He does a weekly open mic, and just going to these shows, I mean, we've got so much talent here in Bakersfield, and it's one of those jobs that, I mean, Anthony, who runs it, said he sat and watched open mic, for 2 or 3 years taking notes, and he said, man, I wasted 2 or 3 years. I mean, just going into open mic, is that something you just jumped in and let's see how it works, or did you kind of, okay, I'm going to test it a few times? And I know one of the main things he brings up is just bombing. And he said, you can't really learn until you start bombing. He brought up a foot joke that I guess got silent after he made the joke. And he said, learning to be a comedian is the bombing and growing from those jokes. Is that something that you went through when you first started?
Oh, immediately. I have bombed a fair share, and I'm going to continue to bomb a fair share. I think it makes you better. That feeling is awful and amazing at the same time. It's like, oh, I never want to do that again, but the next night you're going to go up and you're going to do it again, and hopefully you do it better. Bombing is natural. Happens to everybody, but when you succeed, it makes it that much better.
So if you started at a young age wanting to be a comedian, who was your inspiration to get into this?
So comedy was always like something I was into. I grew up in a rough life. Both my parents are addicts. And we were very poor. And I remember my dad was very in and out of my life. But around my 8th birthday, he took me to a Hastings, which is like a Blockbusters. Hastings doesn't exist anymore. And he let me pick out something, and I picked season 1 through 3 of George Lopez's sitcom. And I had one of those TVs that had a DVD built in it. We never had cable or anything. We were lucky when we had electricity. So when we did, I plugged that TV in, and I watched those DVDs until it sounded like a dubstep remix. I would act out the scenes in front of it, and I remember the kind of laughter I would have from that, and I just wanted to give that to other people because it is a relief. Times suck, and laughing makes it that much easier. So I learned that at a very young age, and I don't think I'd be who I am if I didn't figure out that coping mechanism.
That's a very fair point. And honestly, I think there's a lot of comedians that really draw from that, just wanting to bring joy to people because they themselves have gone through some rough times. So I think that that's a really noble pursuit. And honestly, getting into comedy in general is one of the most stressful things in the world, I'm sure. And being able to entertain people is never easy. So if you guys are good at it, I say keep going at it. And honestly, if you make people happy and you make people smile and laugh, that's all you need to do, right?
Oh yeah, that's all I'm in it for. I am happy every time I go to a show, and to see all the faces. I am still surprised 2 years later that people are showing up. I am still so grateful. I hang out after each show, and I get to say hi to everybody that comes. I get to tell them thank you, which is one of my favorite parts of the job. And I really enjoy it. I get to take y'all's feedback. Everyone likes to tell me I'm funnier in person than I am online, and I really love that. It makes me want to kiss them on the mouth.
Well, that's awesome, because I was going to say the same thing. Is you've got fans that are on social media, and then the fans that also see you on stage. And I mean, coming from a social media type influencer to a comedian to a mom, I mean, is it difficult to be mom and do a comedian, or is Cactus Tate all the same person? I mean, are you the same person that's on stage when you're at home, or what's the difference between Cactus Tate the mom or Cactus Tate the comedian?
Oh, it's kind of, you get what you get. My daughter has the funniest personality, and it's totally because I've been talking to her like this her entire life since she popped out the womb. She came out a little ugly at first, and I was worried, so I had to make her funny. She's fine now. She's beautiful and funny, best of both worlds. But I was worried for her, so I really worked hard on making her funny, and she is hilarious, and then some. Yeah, I'm the same person off stage, on stage. I'm definitely on a little faster learning curve than every other comedian, and I am busy. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I do social media, and I'm on the road. So I am very busy and maybe a little frantic at times. But other than that, what you see is what you get.
Well, I know you got a big tour coming up, plus you got a lot of stuff on your plate right now. So we appreciate you coming in or taking the time to call in. We will see you next Friday morning, and we'll continue to pump up the shows. And we're looking forward. I'm going to take a date night with my wife and take her out to go see you, and we'll stick around and kind of hang out and see the show. So we're really excited to see you next Friday, and really taking some time out to talk to us this morning. We appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for having me, and we'll see you guys soon.
See you next week. And we got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. You are listening to the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. And don't forget, go check us out on all social media platforms and YouTube, where you can see a video stream of the show as well. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the early bird special. Before we get to our second hour and our final two guests of the day is comedian with us, as well as our guy Snacks, future NBA referee, as we talk NBA Finals. Before that gets started tonight, Game 1 in Oklahoma City between the Thunder and the Pacers. And a big thank you to Cactus Tate once again. Go follow her on social media. She has, I'm sure plenty of you already are. She's got over 400,000 followers on Instagram. I think 4 million on TikTok. So, I mean, you might already see her. Oh, she's all over TikTok.
That's probably where.
That's where I saw her. That's what I was saying. Like the Annabelle videos where I saw her at first, and I was like, dude, this is hilarious. And I agree with her 100%. And then I saw the rest of her videos with her and her husband. They're all hilarious. And if you're a family friendly or even not family friendly, because they're kind of not.
Well, if you're a mom of a 5-year-old, you would totally understand some of her reels.
This is why I hate having a guest twice in 2 weeks, because we have to split up the questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well, I like it. It's going to be in studio because it's always more lively,
right?
When you're looking at the person,
right? But I mean, like when we're talking to them over the phone, and you only have a handful of questions you can ask, it's like, oh, good Lord. There was so much more I wanted to get into that we could not. But we'll have her next week on the 13th before her show at Tembler. So join us for that.
Perfect for Annabelle talk.
Absolutely. But
before you get into that, I do have to show out some love for the Rockies.
Oh, yeah, no. I meant to bring this up with you pre-show, too. Yeah, the Rockies actually won their first series and swept them. They took down the Marlins. Look, man, anytime the Marlins go down, I love to see it. However, I'm just hoping that this is a good omen for the Rockies, that we could finally see some winning baseball out of them and we can get out of this historically bad area. Because good God, 11-50 to start your season is not a good look at all. But 3 straight wins, you won a series. Let's hope that's a momentum builder for you. And I think that was the first time in 18 series or something like that they've actually won something.
In a year.
So it's at least a plus. I know there's not a lot of Rocky fans in this community, but there are a ton in Colorado, and they still pack out that stadium.
It's funny because my friend Shauna over at Two Goats and a Goose, she if she sees old Kiss stuff, she'll grab it for me. Mm-hmm. And the Kiss went on one of their 15 farewell tours, and they played baseball stadiums. So each, just like Cena does, where each venue, Kiss had baseball shirts where they were standing with, cartoon baseball players, but they had the team's uniform on.
Right.
So in this off season, she got me a Colorado Rockies Kiss shirt, and I'm like, I'm not gonna wear that.
Right.
But I'll put it in the collection. Well, now that they are the worst, I wear it, and I'll wear it out in public on the weekends just to see if I get a reaction. And people give me so much crap, like I'm a Rockies fan, like, you guys suck, and it's the worst baseball I've ever seen.
It's about Kiss.
Yes.
It's like it's about the band.
Come on, man.
Again, I get it, but I just the fan bases that yell at people for sucking. It's like, come on, dude. Really? Yeah, that's what you want to yell at me about? I know. Okay. I know. You don't need to give Rocky fans any more grief than they're already getting. Okay. There's no reason to yell that at Rocky fans right
just
now.
To wear the gear, but
it's like, if he plays for the team, sure, go yell at him. You suck. You need to stop playing baseball. But if he's a fan, you should be giving him some chocolate and saying, are you okay? Do you need to talk? Do you need a hug? It's okay.
And as Dr. Corey walks by.
Exactly.
But some big changes are coming to the NBA All-Star game.
Okay. So ran across this yesterday, and from what it sounds like is that the rumors that everybody were hoping were going to be true from last year are probably going to happen. So after the hockey Four Seasons Classic, I believe is what it was called, where it was 4 different countries and all of their best players,
the 4 nations.
Yeah, the 4 nations all playing against each other. The NBA is going to do something like that as well. But let's start real quick with Adam Silver, as he says the format for this is still unsure, but they're hoping to make this somewhat European style as well. So let's hear from Adam Silver.
I'm not exactly sure what the format will be yet. I mean, obviously paid a lot of attention to what the NHL did with
which was a huge success.
Which was a huge success.
The Frozen Four.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
But also, going back, last summer, our Olympic competition was a huge success. I mean, those games, USA, Serbia, USA,
love
France.
watching it.
And by the way, to
I'm
your
obsessed
point
with it.
about the European style,
Yeah.
I mean, a more physical style of basketball,
Yeah.
a 40-minute game, which I
is
won't
why we
reference
didn't
again.
blow it up. You love the 40-minute game.
I just said it happened to be a 40-minute game in the Olympics,
Keep
but
12-minute quarters.
yeah, we're not changing it. But
Thank
it was, but I think that's another example.
So basically, he wants to create something that's a mixture of the Four Nations Classic of what the NHL did and a European versus America style game, or a world versus America style game. Because if you look at the format for 2026, the Winter Olympics are around the same
I was
time.
just going to say that. That's perfect timing.
Exactly, which is exactly what Adam Silver said as well in the other bite that I have. We won't get into it. He just explains that point, and that with it being exactly around the same time, it seems like the perfect opportunity for the NBA to move to this type of a format where you have a USA team taking on the best of the world. And maybe there's like a Canadian team, Australia, wherever you want to put together. The format of it, we have no idea yet. Like he said, maybe it's one, long 40-minute game. Maybe it's 4 broken up 10-minute games. We'll see how that happens. But what are your thoughts on this, my friend? Do you think this could potentially help the All-Star game? I mean, we've been very outspoken about how much we don't care for it. So could this help it?
It depends on who's playing. I mean, if stars want to play it, then I think it'll be awesome for the league and for for viewers. I mean, I was just going off names in my head. I'm like, Joker, SGA, players like that, like Giannis. There's a long list of badass international players. But my question is, just like most All-Star games, are they going to want to play it?
That's true too. You have to get the people to actually want to be a part of it. I think this year they will, because there'll be the added element of the Winter Olympics at the same time. So you'll want to be in the middle of that, because basically how this is going to work in television, you're going to start the day with Winter Olympics. They're going to take a break for the NBA All-Star game, and then you're going to go back to the Winter Olympics. So, like, who doesn't want to be in the middle of that? Who doesn't want to be attached to the Olympics, especially in the sport of basketball? I think this is a potential good thing for basketball, especially with how horrendous the All-Star game has been the last couple of years, and the lackluster ability to pull people in to actually watch it, or as Sparky said, play in it, and not just take it as a weekend off for most of these players. But it's a step in the right direction. I think everybody was asking for this in terms of basketball fans. We wanted something in terms of just an adjustment to make it more exciting. This could be the case, and I would expect some news to come out of the NBA here in the next couple months about how they will change this in 2026. We have to take a quick break, though. This is the Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield. And welcome back to the Early Bird Special Hour 2. And once again, thank you to Cactus State for joining us at the 7:30. We have another comedian with us right now, though.
And a teacher.
Yes. This guy teaches your kids, believe it or not.
Only a select,
The guy who
amount of
looks like
kids.
Forrest Gump when he was running across the Sahara is your kid's teacher right now.
Taking
Andrew
shots.
Boydston's here.
Hi, how's it going, everybody?
Oh, man, how are you?
I'm doing good.
You're happy to be in summer break now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Feel free to shout out any kid stories you want right now. You could just throw them under the bus. Their parents aren't listening.
no, it's
Good kids.
and I would tell you this right now, the kids know that I do comedy.
Okay.
And so knowing that I have that rapport with them to where I haven't been ratted out for anything. If anything, they're just waiting to hear something that they did in class.
Right.
I feel like they're all just auditioning to try and make.
They
answer
want to
that
be the
material.
kid like in Fluffy stories that gets talked about. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, that's all well and good, but it's like, dude, I'm trying to teach figurative language up here. You can't be interrupting the paycheck right now.
Right. It's like the principal can
Scores.
walk in at any moment.
Dude, it's not even that. It's just I need you to do good on scores.
Right.
Otherwise, it doesn't look like I'm doing my job.
This is also true. How does that come into effect, though? And the kids know you're a teacher. Obviously, they probably follow you on social media. Do you get a lot of flack for videos you make sometimes?
Oh,
or
no, everything's on private.
Oh, okay.
Everything's on private,
Attaboy.
which is so
Attaboy.
conducive to my comedy career. That's you want to be the VIP gated access. You want to be the Oaks of comedy.
Exactly.
And
But
Bakersfield, there you go.
I mean, that's still got to be a weird line to toe, right? Just having because obviously, if anybody's watched your comedy on stage, it's not very family friendly or kid oriented. So obviously,
Some of it.
I mean, there's a little bit, but how do you kind of go about mixing those two worlds?
I mean, it's definitely different, but I do teach junior hires, and
True.
middle schoolers are basically drunk adults.
True.
So there
Pretty
is a
much.
little bit of crossover there. They're just very impulsive.
Right.
They all have main character energy, whether that's for the better or worse of the class. And it's you're just being like, hey guys, we're doing. I got to bring sentence frames in the mix because you guys haven't been paying attention. So
I have to make sure that you know what you're typing on Twitter. Otherwise, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah. But as far as the comedy thing, I try to be my silly self.
Mhm.
Fun uncle energy is kind of how I would, sum it up.
That's accurate.
But no swear words. And, no, I don't take chances. I don't fly close to the sun on those, healthcare is on the line.
No foot fetish jokes like Anthony.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lose dental over a good roast joke
Attaboy,
on a
right?
13-year-old.
That's probably smart. But for listeners who might not know who Andrew Boydston is, kind of break down how you got into comedy. I know you're a local guy. I believe Taft.
Yes, yeah. I'm originally from Taft, born and raised. I got into comedy in college. Something tragic happened, right? Lost my cousin in a car accident. I did actually have this moment where I got to talk to her again in my dream.
Nice.
And she said, do what you love to do and what people love about you. And, in high school, I was annoying, but then in college, I put a microphone in front of my face and all of a sudden I was funny. So it was all right, cool. I can capitalize on this personality quirk and become less annoying.
Right.
So yeah, that was it, and I love doing comedy. I've been doing it for 16 years. Started in Fresno, moved to Bakersfield. And, it's been a long, fun journey.
Absolutely.
And, I was in LA last night hosting, and that was fun too.
Are there any shows that you got coming up that you want to shout out real quick?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I'm going to be at Timblr, and that's going to be July 19th. Chris Flail's putting it on.
Mm-hmm.
One of my good buddies. I think he's been on the show.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
He'll be on tomorrow.
Multiple times. Okay. I got to go for his record now.
Yep.
Yeah.
We had to wait until summer break. What is cool is I've gotten to see Boydston probably double digits. I've seen him several times, and I remember the first time I saw you was at the Rocket Shop Cafe, and he had the hat on, and I had never known who he was, and he he took off the hat, and everyone was like, "Oh, and he's a teacher.
Because I had long hair back then. I donated. I don't know why I did this. I'm bald, right? Like I know it like maybe people are looking at it like, oh, he's got hair under there. No, I don't. And I had like really long hair because I grew it out because I really wanted to donate for wigs for kids.
Yeah, my roommate's doing the exact same thing right now.
Yeah, but when you do it with a bald head, you know, you become like disgruntled High School Musical teacher, you know, like just sitting there rapping their knuckles with a ruler because we got to get excellent at the festival.
Lord.
Tempo.
Oh,
Come on, Marcy, pick it up.
Well, how was the show last night?
The show last night was great. Got to meet some funny comedians, you know. It was Amy Silverberg, Todd Marcel Dorham, Quincy Weekly, and Kalia McNeil. And
right on.
Dude, Kalia McNeil and Quincy, they're killers. I've known Todd for 8 years, so it was really cool to work with him again. He did great. But like, you know, I never saw Quincy or Kalia, and they were fantastic.
Really?
So yeah.
Where was this at? I'm sorry.
It's called The Crow. It's like a place in LA, like in Santa Monica, and it's, you know, their own little comedy club. It's like got an artsy vibe to it. It's a lot of fun. Oh yeah. It you know, it's just one of those nice little studio type shows.
Right. And just like, so do you prefer the shows to be small and intimate, or do you like the larger style that you can kind of get from some certain venues?
I mean like The Well.
See,
Well,
everybody has said that exact answer.
I know. The Well was the perfect mix, you know, like the roofs were just high enough and the space was spacious, and you know, you could even add some tables for like really packed shows, and people just seemed not to get bothered. Like and just the vibe and everything that was built around it, like it was the new guys, it was the old guys, like everything from the ground up was just great. And you know, I'm waiting for it to go back. It's going to be in downtown now.
Yeah.
Which is exciting because it's literally at the place where I first did stand up in Bakersfield.
Really?
On the rocks.
That's awesome.
Right after Fish Lips. It was on the rocks. And then it just went through all these different.
So this is a full circle thing for you then.
It is. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, Dan
or tragic. I don't know. Tune in.
No. We'll find out, I guess.
Tune in.
I think it's funny because like all the comedians that we've had have all said The Well, and then Dan comes in and says, I hate that place. Like, I can't stand that building.
And he broke down the plumbing issues and all the revamping that they're putting in. I remember a few comedy shows that I saw at Fish Lips, and I will say it, but Pauly Shore, we did sound for the Pauly Shore show, and I grew up, you know, Encino Man and all these movies. I was all excited, and he was such a jerk, and the comedy was horrible. And then I met Dan a couple years later, and he was like, dude, it's you can't put that spotlight on famous comedians until you actually meet them and see their live shows, because they're totally different. And you know, when the Well first opened and all the, I know, post-COVID, and you know, the Well was supposed to be a music venue. Luckily, that's one positive thing that came out of COVID, that it got sold over to Betts and his wife, and they turned it into a full-time comedy. And I've seen so much talented comedy out of Bakersfield or Kern County, whether it was you or Anthony or Chris Flail. I mean, we had Nathaniel Webb. I mean, there's so much great comedy, whether it's family or raunchy or roasting, or, you know, it's just the variety of comedians here in town. It's just incredible how much talent is here in town.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, it's been a steady process, like, you know, starting from the beginning. Like, if you look back at Rocket Shop, whenever it first became a thing, that was because of Bruce Gray. And if you follow Bruce Gray, he, you know, was a door guy at the Comedy Store, and now he's a paid regular at the Comedy Store, you know. So like, there's so many different paths that can, you know, deviate from whatever an open mic scene is, but like, it's really the bond. Like, if you go to like other cities and stuff, sometimes they're not as close. And that's not to say anything about one or the other. People are who they are, right? You know, like, there's just going to be people who like feed into the dramedy side of it, you know, more than being funny. Right. But, you know, here in Bakersfield, we've always had a good mix, and everybody's like really welcoming, and it didn't matter if you were an outsider, like, you know, you're coming from out of town or something like that. It would be, oh yeah, stop on by, do a drop set, you know, like there's just a really good vibe. And I just hope that carries on, because whenever that's happening, everybody's at an ultimate high, because they're not worried about their place on the totem pole. They're not sitting there fixed on the things that don't really matter.
Right.
Like, they're more focused on like, all right, cool. Like, I'm going to write material. I'm going to do new stuff. I'm going to, refine this stuff. And because I got a show, because I've done so good. Like, I just want to see that for everybody.
See, and I think that's what I was going to say, is it seems to me like the community here at least has that mindset of, if I help you, you help me, and we all win. Like, you know what I mean? We all grow and become better. And I think that's why certain comedians like your Kevin Harts and all of these other guys love to come here, because this is known as a community that they could really test their stuff and see what works, what doesn't. And you'll get those shows. I mean, Kevin Hart has gone out of his way to book multiple shows after already booking shows here, because he enjoys doing the comedy here and like the interaction with people. And I feel like that's part of it, is that he realizes, okay, people here are not only here just for comedy, but they're also here because they're magnanimous and they want to help each other.
Yeah.
And if, like I just said earlier, if I succeed, you succeed, and we all make money, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the long game, right? It's like, just everybody wants to be successful. So why not have that kind of a mindset?
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, people will go off into like forming stronger friendships,
right?
And they'll be the ones that you trust to take on the road, or it's like a new guy
Create
who's just really been killing it, so you're just like, hey, I want to bring him on the road, like, because he's got a fresh take and it's something different, like, from what I am, because that's kind of what makes a good comedy show. You don't want to hear the same person over and over and over, but like, same tempo, same vibe. You're just like, oh, it wasn't branded this way. Why am I experiencing?
Right. It's the same thing. I mean, I learned just as a fan, going to a show, not going for the headliner. I'm learning. Okay, well, the first 3 openers were just as good or better than the headliner, and then I'll be like, I'm gonna have to hit them up to get on the show, and I mean, just seeing over and the growth. You know what I mean? Especially with the Well, when it first opened. It was kind of hit and miss. And then just the final show, just to throw out, there was 20 plus comedians, and all of them have different personalities, and they all killed it. And I was like, this is awesome. So we're all looking forward to the next chapter. And I'm not sure, have you performed at Ava's or the Nile or any of those yet?
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I'll be there tonight. I'm going to be there. It's always Thursdays, 7 p.m. opening time. And 6 p.m. opening time, 7 p.m. showtime.
Yeah.
And it's random. Like, you get drawn out of a bucket. So the order is going to be just random, the way we like it, Well, I mean, now that it's the summertime, I'm not gonna.
It's a roulette
sit there
thing,
and
dude.
die the next day.
It's not like you're missing out on anything. Everybody's going to be equally as great. And honestly, I think the comedy is just always top tier anyway. So
yeah.
At the end of the day, you're just going to have a laugh. So I think you win regardless.
I would like to also say this, though. It is an open mic. Okay. Right. With open mic, I mean, you don't know what you're going to perform until you actually grab that microphone. Like, it depends.
But we've said on this show multiple times, sometimes the people who go there and up there and bomb are better comedy than the people who are actually saying the jokes. You know what I mean? Like, the jokes that come between your friends saying, wow, that guy sucked. Like, it's the best part of the job.
Dude, I wrote a joke recently that I've wanted to perform at Eva's, but I keep forgetting because, I sit there for a while and I'm like, oh no, I'll do this instead. Like, I got to get ready for hosting in LA or whatever.
Right.
But, like, there's this one where I was literally having a deep conversation with my brother about, deep topics at a bar. Because of course, it's Bakersfield, right? Yeah. That's where therapy happens.
Local watering hole.
Yeah. And then, like, as we're having this heartfelt brotherly moment, all of a sudden the jukebox just kind of goes, checks the wind. Like, I think the weather's right to play Cisco's hit song Thong Song. And just that juxtaposition in that moment made me write this bit, and it just sent me on this rabbit hole of why the thong song exists and things about it. And I was just like, I need to make
put this into the bit.
I have to do this bit. And then a guy showed up and he's like, you didn't do the thong song bit. You told me you were going to do that. And I was like,
see, now we have to go to the open mic because you have to hear the thong song.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it tonight.
No, you're not.
Just kidding. I'll totally do it. If someone mentions it before I go up,
what if we all just get a chant going WWE style, just thong song, thong song?
Oh, dude. I mean, you guys are going to heel turn on me
At some point.
It's going to be undeveloped and not funny to start, but I'll do my best.
But I mean, again, the bombing sometimes is better than the joke, right?
Hey, I've got 2 settings. All right. I got 2 speeds, trying my damnedest.
There you
all
go.
right. So I might be trying my damnedest.
That's all that matters. Real quick before we let you go, this is a sports show, so we got to talk a little sports. Obviously, you're a hockey fan and a football.
Yeah.
You were obviously busy, so I'm assuming you didn't get to see game 1 last night of the Stanley.
Oh, I mean, I followed it.
Did you?
Yeah, I followed it.
What are your thoughts on this year's matchup?
I mean, usually whenever you see like the same teams playing against each other, you're just like, who cares? You know, like this one, I think it's really up for grabs. Like last year, I felt like the Florida Panthers just had a top to bottom better team.
Yeah.
This year, you just kind of see like the depth scoring that Edmonton's been receiving in certain situations. Like one of the series that sticks out is Vegas. So, I think the Oilers take it. I'm not gonna be cliche and be like game 7, like everybody game 7. No, game 6, give me the Oil.
I think you're right, honestly, especially after watching last night. I mean, the teams look very even.
Yeah.
And I'm just hoping for good hockey. That's all I'm hoping for, especially with the finals and the NBA are starting to, and we don't know exactly what we're getting out of that. So this could I mean, more competition wise. Are we getting a sweep? Are we getting, the Pacers actually making something happen? I have no idea. This could be the reimagining of the Sixers and Lakers from back in the 2000s for all we know.
Well, I think the Stanley Cup will be much more competitive. I think OKC is going to take it in 5, but that's just me. I hate the Pacers and the Knicks, so I think the West is much stronger. And I mean, the Pacers got what they got. I mean, they made it to the finals. They didn't have to play Boston or Cleveland, so they got lucky. But we'll see.
Again. We always cheer for like longevity of a series, right? So
of course, for entertainment,
put a fight up.
That's all anybody's hoping for. But I don't know. Again, I hope Indiana pulls out a win tonight. We'll see. Me and Sparky were asking about this. Are you a basketball fan too?
I do like the Lakers.
Are you a Laker fan?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm a Laker fan.
It's like I knew you weren't a Pacer fan because I knew you were a Colts fan because we've been talking about that for a while now. And we'll get to that in a second because I have to get your thoughts on your quarterback situation.
Of course you do.
Well.
I knew that was coming.
Of course.
At least you don't have to hear the Tua crap.
I mean,
I hear that every day.
Look, dude, when you have a quarterback that has paper skin and glass bones, you're gonna hear about it. Okay,
right, Kirk Cousins.
I don't want Kirk Cousins. I was very vocal about not wanting.
It has nothing to do with what you want.
We have Michael Penix. I have no idea what you're talking about. What is your thoughts though on your guys' quarterback situation going in? Obviously, you got Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson fighting out for the starting spot. Are you happy with either of those choices? Because I don't know if I would be.
I am happy. Because a lot of people, they're just going to sit there and make all these judgments. I get it. Okay, yeah, Anthony Richardson doesn't have the best completion percentage, but he also had a crap ton of yards on the ground. And he is a refrigerator this offseason. I don't know if you've seen him. He's put on even more mass, which I didn't know was possible for him. Dude, he's huge, dude.
No, he is. He's massive.
He looks like a fucking God of War character, he's just out there with ripped with just tattoos, jacked and stuff. And
he looked like a totally different player.
Yeah. And then there's Daniel Jones.
Yes.
That's all I hear whenever I see Daniel Jones play football. And that's not an indictment on him. You know what? If he comes out and he just turns out to be as good as Saquon when he leaves the dysfunctional Giants, I'm good with that.
I mean, that's a positive too. I mean, at this point, we have this running joke on the show. If you play quarterback for the Jets or the Browns, I'm no longer giving you grief because you went through a disservice. You went through a job that literally nobody on the planet would want. So maybe the Giants need to be put into this conversation as well.
Yeah. But just to summarize it, summarize it for you, Anthony Richardson now has a bona fide number 1 supposed to be tight end.
True.
He has everything around him.
True.
Jonathan Taylor is going to take carries and take over games at certain points,
as you would hope he would.
Yes. Yeah. But I think that if you don't show anything this year, then that's it. We gave him 3 good opportunities, kept injuring himself. I'm not even going to bring up, people are like, oh, his work ethic. And I was like, dude, when haven't you needed a breather in life?
Right.
And you don't even do anything physical. You're like, oh, I gotta get up out of my my seat and go get a Monster real quick so I can stay awake for the stretch in my cubicle.
No, I get
people who ridicule like professional athletes.
No, I totally get that. My issue with him isn't necessarily the work ethic. It's just the way of which he kind of presented it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get it. Yeah.
I agree with you. Everybody needs like some time off, but you're in the middle of an offensive series. You can't exactly look at your coach and say, tap out.
Guys,
you're the one position on the field that can't do that.
Sure.
Just like, that's just me, but I don't know. I that's my thought process on a lot of those things.
And I'm here to tell you guys, I teach junior high, and young people never ever say anything wrong or stupid.
No,
that never happens.
No, never in their lives.
So yeah, I mean, I could totally get it that he didn't have the media training to navigate those waters.
Absolutely, and that's honestly probably what the long and short of it was. I'm just surprised that this is probably the second man named Richardson that you guys have had on your roster in the last 15 years. That's been a massive disappointment.
Don't bring up Trent Richardson, man. Dude, I saw a thing where he was blaming Indy.
Yes, like for his lack of vision and stuff. Yeah, I saw the same thing. I was like, how do you blame your team who did nothing but open up holes for you your entire career?
Vision works like this, Trent.
I can't see it.
or if you want to get tricky with it, you don't even have to move your head. You can just do the eyes.
I just can't with that, man. I mean, the plays that you saw from him in general, running into your guys' offensive linemen and stuff, for him to come out and blame your team for that is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I just find that stupid.
Yeah, but like I look at the Colts, I look at what they've got, and I feel like we're gonna be fine. We made some key signings on defense, which I loved. We got Bynum and we got Ward. So like our defense, I feel like is gonna be a top.
I need you guys to get more out of Pittman, please. I get him every single year in fantasy football, and every year he lets me down. I'm a USC diehard, and he has not been that guy for me every time. It bugs me.
Okay,
I need a quarterback to throw to him.
What do you mean? Well, okay. Well, you're in luck because he always has a different quarterback throwing to it.
Right? That's the problem, though. Right? I need a quarterback that's consistent. Can we get somebody in there that can actually get this boy yards?
I do believe that Pity City will go off as long as he doesn't hurt his back on the farm, because that's what he did. Like,
I remember that.
Yeah, he jacked up his back and he was still blocking people downfield. I was like, dude, like, just run a dummy route instead.
Get off the field.
Yeah, but dude, I mean,
well, the schedule came out. The schedule came out, and I saw, went through preseason and week 1, Dolphins against the Colts.
That's right.
I was like, all right, Boydston. I'll have to talk to him before week 1. So I'm excited as a Dolphin fan because we're undefeated right now.
Are we getting
everybody's nothing to cry about?
We're back.
Are we getting a good old bet going on the show? Because now is the time to do it.
We'll talk about it when we get closer, of course.
Yeah.
At least if it's a beer and some wings or something, I'm always down for beer and wings.
Yes, beer and wings.
And either way, we both win. So
I mean, that's also
I'm happy with that. But being a Dolphins fan, I don't even know who's going to be quarterback either. I mean, there's still plenty of time. Tua could trip and fall, or they're in the middle of trying to trade Ramsey.
Trip and fall and hit his head again.
Who knows? No. But we're both all positive because all 3 of our teams are crap, and we're all undefeated right now.
I have faith that my team's not going to be garbage.
And I have faith in my team.
I think Atlanta does something this year.
That's what the offseason's
There's
for.
a little bit of faith there.
The South is wide open.
Exactly.
In my opinion.
Exactly.
I mean, the Buccaneers may be even better.
All you have to deal with is Baker Mayfield in Tampa, Tyler Shuck with the Saints, which jury's out, and then a Panthers team that hasn't been relevant since Cam Newton left.
Hey,
you never know.
Let's be honest.
You never know.
So I think Atlanta is sitting pretty right now. That's all I gotta say.
Well, we appreciate your time, Andrew. You have the open mic tonight, which is the pregame show that we always promote. It's Thursday nights at Ava's.
Yes,
for the limited time until the opening of the Well Comedy Club, which I'm hearing we'll get some updates next week with Dan. But also, pump up the July show again.
Yeah, the July show, I'm going to be out at Tembler Brewing. Chris Flail is putting it together. I don't know who the other comedians are, but I know Chris is fantastic at arranging a show. So I'm pretty excited. I'm sure there'll be some locals. I'm sure there'll be some people from out of town as well. So
are you going to be opening? Do we know where you are on the?
I don't know.
monitor?
exactly where I am.
But either way, you're going
Um,
to see Flail and Boydson.
yeah,
I mean, that's
that's a
enough
good
for the
tandem.
ticket right there.
Oh, thank you, buddy. Thank
Come
you.
on.
I needed that. you're just sitting there. You're just like, my dreams. They're just fleeting.
We're just waiting for this guy to get off the stage and just go straight to teaching.
I was just like, do we put it down old Yeller style, like before I just become straight up open mic
Absolutely
comedian?
not, dude.
No.
You need to keep this going. You're one of the funniest guys we have locally.
Dude,
Seriously.
100%.
Thank you guys, and I hope that the listeners enjoyed me as well. Thank you
Well,
for tuning in.
We'll
people.
definitely talk to you before that show in July, and we appreciate your time. That is Andrew Boydson, everybody, right here on ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
This is sort of murder. Hey, Jay, in the mix. Yeah, that's where I said mine, and I'm sitting at home. This is show me what you got. No, I know. But I love Jay Z. Oh, I do too. I was just making a dumb joke. I was just gonna see if this listener is texting and asking what the line is, and he swears the Pacers are gonna win by 20 tonight. 9.5 is your line currently favoring the Oklahoma City Thunder. 20 is a bit of a stretch.
If you're right, man, I'm gonna
buy you a beer.
I'm gonna have to get your input on game 2.
Exactly, because I don't know. This series is gonna be interesting, but I have a great fear that this really is gonna boil down to the Sixers and Lakers series from way back in the day. Your Allen Iverson comes out in game 1, absolutely shocks the world and shows everybody, hey, the Sixers got a chance. And no, they don't. No, they don't. And the Lakers come back and absolutely mollywop them for the rest of the series. And honestly, that's kind of what I feel like is going to happen tonight. I think the Pacers may sneak out a win tonight by 20. You're crazy.
I was thinking the same thing this morning. I was like, if the Pacers are going to pull out one, I wouldn't be surprised if it was game 1 and then just kind of pisses off OKC.
Exactly. And they do what they've done the rest of these playoff series, like they did with Denver and with Minnesota. They just come back twice as hard as they were the game before and twice as fast and just ready to go and make everybody look silly, because this team, although the youngest team to make an NBA Finals in 48 years, they don't look like it. They really, truly do not. They are average age of 25. I mean, this shouldn't be happening.
Well, the more I read into, just previewing the matchups, I know OKC is tough in the paint and they play a tough defense. And one thing that we might see in game 1 is them being tough in the paint. And if the Pacers can stay hot, if, Pascal or somebody gets on fire, because they can shoot threes when they're on fire, they're tough to beat. And that might just be something that we see in game 1 until, OKC makes the adjustments. But I'm getting a lot of texts saying, they're all thinking it's going to be the Pacers for the upset. They say every time these finals or Super Bowl or any major championship where everybody is favored to one side, it always happens where the other team pulls it out.
I
don't see that Disney story this year.
That's not necessarily the case. I think America would like for that to be the case because we love seeing underdog stories. I think there are some certain qualities about this Pacers team that obviously make it believable that they could pull it off. Obviously, you took down Giannis in round 1, the team that everyone thought was going to get there this year in the Cleveland Cavaliers in round 2, and then knocked out the Knicks and their loaded roster in round 3. However, this is a completely different monster. You're taking on the team that literally was the best team in the NBA on record and in defense. They're the fastest team that I've seen in a while outside of the Pacers, and probably the only team that could keep up with the Pacers in terms of pace and still play very well. So it's going to be really hard, in my opinion, for the Pacers to really set a tone that they would need in order to be successful. I mean, the only thing that I could see that gives the Pacers the edge really in this series is the fact that they have more players on their roster that have been to the finals before. If you're the Thunder, you really only have Alex Caruso, and I don't mean that as a slight. Alex Caruso is a fantastic leader on their roster and probably is going to be the guy they're going to lean on a lot in this series to be that vocal leader to get them that chip. But when you look at the Pacers have Thomas Bryant, who, although didn't play much, still was on Miami's championship run team in 2023. I'm sorry, not championship run, the team that made it to the championship in 2023. Naismith played for Boston in 2022 when they lost to the Warriors, and then Pascal Siakam obviously was part of that Raptors team in 2019 that won the championship and shocked the world as well. So you have at least some players that have been there before and have some sort of idea of what it feels like to play in the finals, as well as win and lose the finals. So that could be a benefit for you. But looking at it on paper and just how these teams are built, I don't know if the Pacers are going to have what it takes to slow this Thunder team down. I just really don't. And unless you're planning on scoring 150 points a game against this defense, it's not going to happen.
Good luck. I know the players hit the podium yesterday, and this is Pascal talking about what he thinks and what he sees in OKC.
I mean, they're a great team. Obviously, having an historic season, just the way they play the game. I mean, they look free out there. They're having fun. They're young. They have experience. Like they have everything, and they're playing unbelievable basketball. Obviously, Shea's MVP. And they have some young players that are rising. And yeah, it's a fun team to watch as just like a fan. And we know what they can do defensively. And they have a good coach also. So they're a really good team.
If you're a betting man, take the bet, take the line, take Pacers in the line, because I doubt they'll lose. Or, I mean, if they do lose, I think it's going to be within double digits. But this team in general, this Thunder team looks really, really hot right now. They look really good. Not to say the Pacers don't, but Pacers have at least moments of saying they've stalled out for a second. And I still stand by my thoughts on the Pacers from back in the beginning of this playoff run. If you can hold them to under 120 points, you'll beat them, because they're not a great defensive team. They're not amazing on defense like the Thunder are. They're a fantastic pace team, and they're a fantastic team that'll literally run you out of a gym and score as many points as they can. But if you can hold them to under 120 points, the Pacers are in trouble. And I think the Thunder are the perfect team to do that. I genuinely do.
I was listening to Unsportsmanlike on the way in this morning, and they were talking about Lou being all over Halliburton, and the two games that they played earlier in the season that they kept Halliburton under 20 both games. And he thinks that that's pretty much the answer of this series, is that Halliburton is going to be all over. I mean, Lou's going to be all over him. He's not going to have any space to shoot these crazy threes or even try to drive into that strong key. But somebody, like you'd said, is going to have to step up and be that leader, whether that's, Jalen or who. But
I think it needs to be Naismith, honestly, if you're a Pacer, because he's shown flashes of at least scoring in high figures. So I think that if you lean on him, especially if Hallie's not getting his shots open, you have a chance.
I'm looking forward to what was the nickname you called him?
The Sloth.
The Sloth.
Sid the Sloth.
And
Chet Holmgren.
I didn't like is it Green, the guy that wears the headband? I just did not like him in the Knicks Pacers series. So I'm hoping Chet just makes a poster out of him. And I mean,
Turner. You're talking about
Turner.
Miles
I just
Turner.
don't like his attitude. I mean, he would do stupid fouls and just look like a not a team type player, just a bad attitude. So I'm not a Pacers fan, so I was looking for finding something that I wouldn't like, and that was the one. I like Halliburton as a player. I don't care for his
cockiness
and his stupid smile, but as a fan of the Joker, I get it.
Have you ever heard him talk, though?
Yes.
He has two voices. This man will literally change voices on you.
High pitched.
It's not like it's actually crazy. It's not high pitched at all. It's just like it genuinely makes me believe that his vocal cords at some point didn't mature like they were supposed to, because the raspiness voice that you hear probably 75% of the time will just go away, and then he sounds like a completely different person.
And see the video, I saw that last week during the one of the post games where he sounded all hood for a minute.
Yep. And then out of nowhere he just sounds
he sounded like a math professor.
Yeah, like a preppy
is this AI?
Exactly. And it's like, was that really him? No, it's him. He has two different voices. It's the craziest thing in the world.
Well, this is Jalen Williams and Jalen Williams on his thought of the Pacers.
They're definitely like a fun team to watch. The way they play, their pace. I was saying this one of my interviews maybe 2 days ago. And Miles Turner hit on it a little bit too. Just they play really together, and you can see that they're together off the court too. Like they enjoy playing with each other. They like to move the ball. They play fast. And it reminds us a lot of ourselves too. So we have a lot of similarities in that. So it should be a really cool matchup. Obviously, you're looking at it from these two teams, like the blueprint of the NBA is changing a little bit, and you can kind of see it, their team chemistry is really fun to watch, and it's going to be fun playing against it.
I have to say, he's right. He's absolutely right. If there's any team that has probably the highest chemistry and camaraderie, I would feel like it's the Pacers, just the way they play and the way they share the ball with each other and everybody gets in on the action. But Jalen made a very good point there too, that I think number 2 on that list is the Thunder. I think the Thunder feel that they are a very good team in terms of chemistry and love playing with each other and they know how to get the most and the worst out of their best players and their worst players. So when you really boil it down, I think that kind of evens both of these teams out. And you now have to look at, okay, who's got the better roster? And right now, up and down the board, I have to say it's the Thunder. And if that is so the case, I'm going to ride with the Thunder this year in this series, probably in 5 or 6.
That's what I'm thinking. I think the Pacers will sneak out one. I wouldn't be surprised if it was tonight.
I agree.
And
keep yourself out of a sweep, but it's going to be really tough in my opinion, for them to pull off a full sweep. Or I'm sorry, a full win in this series.
Well, the NBA Finals Game 1 tonight, Pacers at Thunder. You can hear it right here on ESPN Bakersfield with coverage beginning at 5 p.m. We will take our break, pay some bills, wrap up the show, and preview tomorrow's right after this break. ESPN Bakersfield, 12:30 a.m.
101.1 FM.
Well, a big shout out to Cactus Tate that joined us in the first hour, as well as local teacher and comedian Andrew Boydston, ahead of game one of the NBA Finals tonight. And 2-day break, right?
Yeah, they're up to 2-day breaks now. Can't stop games anymore. You can't go east west. Stretch it out. You know what I mean? You got to make people wait. We've been waiting long enough.
Right.
Oh,
Miscellaneous news around the NFL. Ravens extended wide receiver Bateman this morning, 3-year deal, $36.7 million.
$20 million guaranteed,
$20
right?
million guaranteed.
Honestly, it's a good that's a good payday for him. His production on the team has not reached nearly what they thought the potential for him has been. Zay Flowers has really come in and been more the number one receiver that they were hoping Bateman would become. However, this shows at least some faith that they believe Bateman could grow into a contributor on the offense. And honestly, I think he has shown flashes in the last year and a half of being a good slot receiver. So if you can get him and honestly Lamar on track, I think you can be fine. I still say, though, the Ravens need some sort of big receiver. Like, I don't mean big name or anything like that. I mean big as in big body. Like, honestly, I think they should have made the move for DK Metcalf when he was available, but obviously the rival Steelers took it right out from under them.
That'd have been tough.
There needs to be a guy. I know they were in it for Devontae Adams when he was out there, but Adams decided to go to the Rams. You need to make some sort of move for a big receiver, somebody that could be a possession receiver that Lamar can really trust outside of the tight end Andrews and make some sort of play for you down the field. Because yes, it's nice to have guys who can burn corners, but you also have to have a big body guy that you can trust that's going to catch everything that comes his way. And right now, I think that's what that wide receiver room is missing.
And former NFL pass rusher Greg Hardy was arrested again.
Surprise, surprise.
This time allegedly assaulting a family member. This isn't Hardy's first run with domestic violence issues. Back in 2014, he missed almost the entire season as he was on the exempt list for facing domestic violence charges.
Man, Greg Hardy is one of those athletes that really bugs me because when he was a defensive end for Carolina, he was a monster and honestly could have been one of the better defensive ends the league's ever had. But he then had the off the field issues. He left, went to the UFC, I guess, if you could say. I don't know if he ever actually made it to the UFC, but he was in like talks and trainings to do so. He had a handful of fights, got his butt handed to him in almost every single one of them.
That's what I was just going to say.
And
that's all I remember.
And now he's back to just, I guess, having squabbles with family members. I'm not going to
family.
It's alleged, so we don't know for sure. But this is just, come on, man. It's another story of an athlete that should have been amazing that just something happened along the way where they couldn't get over it. And it's a really rough thing to see. I hate seeing stories like this.
And yesterday, the Browns locked in their fifth quarterback into his rookie deal. Now they have 5 under contract with Deshaun Watson, Flacco, Pickett, Shador, and now third rounder Dylan Gabriel.
Shador seemed to be the favorite.
That's
too.
what I keep hearing.
Hey, he's been killing it in practice.
He's been killing it in practice. Veterans have been saying that he's been stepping up. He's been positive and nothing negative around him. So
forgive me if I'm wrong here, though, my friend, or at least you could tell me I'm full of it. I still say they go with Joe Flacco week 1.
I don't think Flacco makes the team.
You think Flacco's the one they're going to cut?
I would think.
Because it's going to be him or Kenny Pickett. I think you
would
keep Gabriel and obviously Shador, but
I could see them starting Pickett and then just on a short leash.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. You do the traditional route of, may not start him week 1. Maybe you give him a week or 2 or 5 to figure out the speed of the game before actually throwing him in there. But I think it's sooner rather than later that Shador ends up being the starting quarterback in Cleveland.
Well, while we're talking quarterbacks, I have to throw out, since it's Carr, and he came out yesterday and discussed the money he just pretty much stepped away from. A lot of
he left $30 million on the table.
So they broke it down and they interviewed him and talked, why would you walk away from $30 million? Even if you were injured, you could have still collected that $30 million. Just that big-hearted dude that he always is, saying, I didn't feel right. I could have. He said, I try to give them the 10 million back, and they still let me take the 10 million guarantees. So I mean, that's just a cool thing. I figured you would never see that type of quarterback or that type of reaction to a lot of players, especially in football, but just overall as athletes. You're not going to walk away from a $30 million contract, whether you're hurt or not. He said he could have, powered through it, but he didn't want to do that to the Saints. He didn't want to do that to his family. And he feels great. He's still on the fence of whether he's going to have the surgery or not. But that's just a good old feeling story.
Honestly, man, I know you say big-hearted. I say genuine. I think that this Derek has been nothing but a genuine human being his entire career. He's never really had that moment where you sit there and look at him off the field and say he can't handle it, or he's immature, or he had a moment where he messed up. Even in Fresno State, he was squeaky clean, Catholic boy. I shouldn't say Catholic, but I don't know if he's a Catholic or a Christian, but religious boy. And I just feel like it's a genuine feeling. I like the answer from this, because you're right. He could have stayed. He could have easily dragged it out, got his $30 million like a lot of other people probably would have. But he sat there and said, I want to do what's right for my family, for me. Because, I mean, end of the day, him being injured or not, that's kind of the long and short of it. And I just applaud him. This is a great, great answer to this question. And I think I don't think he could have gone about it in a better way. I really don't. I think that it's one of those moments where it works out perfectly, and he did the right thing.
And he is a Christian.
He is a Christian.
He went to Bakersfield Christian.
I totally tripped up on that one, but it is what it is. I'm a Catholic. Okay. There's not a whole ton different between us besides the Saints. Let's be honest.
Just to wrap up, I saw Michigan offered a scholarship to Charles Woodson Jr. yesterday. And yes, he is going into a junior year in high school, and he's already getting his dad's alumni, reaching out. And I mean, 5'11", 160-pound safety from Orlando, entering his junior year in that's just crazy. And he's looking at offers by Florida State, Iowa State, Kentucky, Ole Miss, Syracuse, and Texas A&M. On top, you could throw in Michigan on that list now.
God, who would don't get me wrong. I cannot understand what these kids go through and the pressure they have to be mounting on them. I mean, especially when it's somebody that's connected to your parents. Like, imagine that, being a kid who has to choose between your dad's alma mater and a school that maybe you genuinely want to go to. There's got to be so much pressure on that kid. And as a junior in high school,
that age,
like,
what I was doing as a
160-pound kid, 160-pound, 5'11". Like, we're talking about a junior in high school already having to make that decision. And I don't envy him in any way, shape, or form. I applaud him for obviously his play, and I hope he makes the right decision for himself. But when it comes down to it, man, that kind of pressure on you, it's got to be hard. It's got to be rough. And I don't mean to highlight that as if it's a problem, but it's more of just, I feel for him in a way. I really do. I hope he makes the right decision for himself, though. And Michigan's not a bad choice. I'm going to tell you right now.
Well, join us tomorrow. We'll wrap up the week live 7 to 9 a.m. We'll obviously recap the NBA Finals Game 1, as well as we'll have Chris Flail ahead of SmackDown tomorrow night right here in our backyard, as well as Bolt Brady from Bolt Brady and Bro, talking all things sports and how he can make you money for the weekend.
Mm-hmm. And that's all we got for you guys today, though. Join us back here 7 to 9 a.m. as usual, and we'll get you set up for everything you need to know for SmackDown coming live here in Bakersfield. Until then, we got to get out of the way for the great Rich Eisen. Sparky, let's get out of here.